Hello, people, and welcome to Conversations with IB. This evening, we have a very exciting guest, but we also have a very exciting topic. So, sometime in 2000, mm, I think early 2000, um, maybe 2001, 2002, 2003, thereabout, I got a call from someone I had never met before. Her name was Dr. Chichi Anyegolu. And at that time, she was the resident representative of Ashoka Innovators for Humanity. I really hadn't heard too much about Ashoka. I had some vague idea um, of this group that was doing some phenomenal things in India, but I didn't know too much about it. And she was asking me to sit on the panel of interviewers to interview people who would be Ashoka Fellows. At that time, I was an editor at Tell magazine, and it seemed exciting. That was when I came in contact with the term social entrepreneurship. And I wondered, what is this about? Social entrepreneurship talks about people who think more about addressing social, cultural, and other such initiatives. They do it and engage in it as it were a business. They do it not so much for profit, but for the greater good. And very often, even when there is profit, the profit is turned back into delivering good for the community. Ashoka says that it's building and cultivating a community of change leaders who are interested in creating another set of community of change leaders because ultimately our world functions better when everybody wants to actually change. My guest this evening is someone who is known for speaking up for change. His name is Eugene Abels. He started out life as a banker or maybe as a manufacturer. I'm not even sure which one. Eugene has done everything. He loves reggae music. He's decided to venture into broadcasting. For God's sake, he's venturing into my terrain. He does DJ. He's he even pretends to be a chef. He's a pretend chef because at some point in his life, he even entered. I'm not sure what does it. Eugene Abel literally well loved social media buff, but he also could be called well hated. He says he's not a politician. Some of us may disagree, some of us may agree. Tonight we'll find out. But Eugene Bells has 30 years that has spanned across manufacturing, banking, social enterprise, and everything else. He is currently on the board of the Garden City Premier Business School and has at different times been involved in initiatives like the Extra Step initiatives, initiatives that put food on people's table. And he is very popularly known as the lead convener of the, um, what is that again? Is it
Stop the suit
the suit
campaign.
campaign, the Stop the Suit campaign? Eugene and Stop the Suit have taken the federal government to court over the pollution in, trust me, the pollution. It's good to have you on this program. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So let's start by what
The network is breaking. Can you hear me?
What manner of man are you,
But can you
Eugene?
hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello,
Hello.
Eugene. I lost you
Yes,
for a
I.
moment.
Yes,
I lost you for
because
a moment. So I
yeah, you're
said,
breaking.
we start by asking, yes, what manner of man are you? What is it you do? Who are you? What did you train at? What is your career? Describe yourself.
Well, my name is Eugene Bells. I'm just a typical Port Harcourt person. Um, we're trained by parents who grew up during when the British were here. So what I am is what you are too. So I'm not a pretender chef because my mother being a caterer as a student in Okrika Grammar School. If you beg for money, for you to fund your social life, you just come, remove your shirt, get your pan, get your flour, get your butter, whatever the baking, you just come take your own and bake your part. When you're done, she shares her profit for you. That's for your social life. Anything that is not on that list of books, you're on your own. Yeah. So I'm just myself. I'm more of my mother. I'm a combination of my dad and my mother. My father is very procedural, being a civil servant. So I'm a professional petition writer. I know how to write. I like documents. And the advocacy part of me is my mother. My mother was involved in labor movement. They call her Africa. She's troublesome. You know, her hair is always half here. She fears nobody. So that's, or to recently just occurred to me, said, "Now, mama, be this way they do." So I'm a member of the Chartered Institute of Table Shakers. And I found out that there's a common parlance amongst, it comes to the same meaning. In Nembe, they say barasing. Something goes to say leave 'em. In pidgin, they say leave 'em. So it's everywhere. So what I schooled the University of Port Harcourt. I went to Township School, Port Harcourt. I'm a Port Harcourt person. I served in Lagos under the late AIBEE. Yes, I served in DIFRI. DIFRI was the first government agency that had the first 1 billion naira budget, in first intervention agency in Nigeria. There was a wonderful time for me, an award-winning youth corper. Yeah, so I like that. So I served in all the local governments in Lagos. That was the nature of the job I did. So I'm just a normal person, and who the society we met as kids provided for us, and my generation has deliberately failed to put back or give back half of what we got in growing up in Nigeria.
Okay, so your generation has failed to give back half of what it got. Wow. Um, that's that's deep. That's something. That's a serious indictment. That's a
Yes, it
serious
is.
indictment.
It is.
And when you say your generation, please count me out. I hope you are not
You're,
adding me to your generation.
you're in front now.
Me, me, that I'm
Yeah.
just entering my teenage years. Don't start. No, but
Yeah,
but this is
pardon.
this is a serious indictment. This is
It
really a
is.
serious indictment. Why do you think, for any reason, that people who, in your view, got it so good and had a pattern of good handed over to them, why do you think they have made a shipwreck of what they got? What do you think was responsible for that?
Um, uh, I think it's a case of where they tell you that you can go to university and university does not go through you. And so we all have fancy qualifications, degrees, and so on. At the time, we used to think that once you had a degree, that every other thing will be added, that it's given. This person is educated. That we have come to see that when we had one university college, Ibadan, was world class. Today we have over 100 universities. They're like rundown secondary schools, not the brick itself, but the quality of what they produce. Yeah. And who are the people? I've sat back to look. Who are the people? We have joined the fray, hiding behind the guise of we want to survive, hiding the guise, the redefinition of prosperity, which is no, it has to be about how much money you have in the bank. That your house alone must have power supply, while the rest of your community is in darkness. Now, some of the benefits, these failures, there's failure at the community level, where the community used to take care of the child. Everybody is indoors now. The protectors are a reflection of our society, our society. The high walls and the protectors, unlike those days when you could walk around. And that family that your parents don't talk to, see you on the road, you're in trouble. Yes, those things don't happen anymore. And you bring it to the institutional level. We have refused to make institutions to account. Those days, even when you want to stray, that's why your parents, our parents always tell you, don't play with my name. I don't play with my name. Now, what are the values? The values are no longer, what they will tell you, who name help or help, they spell it as EPP. Who name help, who degree help. So the values are completely non-existent anymore. That's why you can see a mother can be in the house and the husband is sexually abusing her child in the name of you don't want stigmatization, you want to save your marriage. That's why you can see somebody believes that if he kills somebody, he can use them for ritual murders. Am I saying there were crimes in those days? No, they were not. In every sector we have failed. We have eroded everything that was given to us. Nothing is sacred. So those things which were supposed to guide us, we have bastardized them. Be it morals, be it faith. Even juju now self would bribe the juju them that they run. Because juju they confuse. Yeah, because if you bring Fanta, go bring 18 years Glenfiddich, the juju go follow my side. So nothing is sacred for Nigerians. Yeah. And we do not have the institutions who could act as guides. Yeah. So it's everywhere. It's so for those who we think because they now have degrees should know, if they don't have, when they don't have those foundational things from the family, it's a problem. And we have seen that those who come, and this I'm not demeaning anybody. So we've seen a trend whereby some who come from very poor backgrounds tend to be very vicious when they get this authority and this power. And society now, how is it structured? The area boys have even looked at our society, they've understood it, they came up with a program, and for the past 7, 8 years, Nigeria is providing about 65 billion to feather their nest. So and they ask you, okay, boss, is your grammar too much? Or which commissioner number you get for your phone? So why do they need to aspire for anything? So everybody is struggling to be on the food chain. It's all about rudimentary existence, as we used to call it, or how Marx would call it. So there are
Okay,
no
so stop
values,
it
there are
right
no
there
standards,
because
there are no
you're,
morals, nothing. It's all about survival.
but that's the point. I mean, yes, so it's the same answer, but I need to know, where did it start beating us? How did we lose the values? Who's responsible? I mean, you've talked about the values your mother imbibed in you, your father imbibed in you, the values my parents imbibed in me. If those are the values we hold dear, and we're the ones sitting in institutions, whether public or private sector, what happened? We got the values, we sit in those institutions, what happened? I need to know the what. We need to trade between us. Otherwise, we won't know how to fix the road.
It is, if you go with those values, everywhere I walk, there's always a struggle. I'm always, you must notice me because like I'm a sore thumb sticking out because there's a battle. Because if everybody wants to do what is popular, what is generally agreed, without speaking, I'm a stickler for doing things proper. I'm a process person. I'm a banker, and we believe that your time should be accounted for. We should believe that you should be loyal for what you're being paid for. You should believe that we believe that your institution must come. Your institution, you must protect. You're the managing director at that point, at whatever desk which you represent. So when you come with these values, they ask you, this one guy say, you go just die for nothing. Wait to be all this the way they do. So you tend to, if you're not a strong person, that's why I have this enlisted in the Chartered Institute of Table Shakers. If you don't join them, you are in trouble. Now, I would like to say this. If you work in any public institution where they're stealing money, government institution, and you don't join them to steal money, please go and look for money. Because when they will come to arrest, they will arrest everybody, including you that didn't steal. Now, those who stole the money will negotiate themselves out. You that don't have will suffer. So it will take the grace of God for you to survive such situations and keep your principles. So except you are in sectors that are organized like banking, telecoms, oil and gas, that's where you can, it's easy to apply these values there. But once you stray out of it, even in the church is the biggest political party for me as I'm concerned. It's a struggle because you see people fighting because they want titles, you see people fighting because they want recognition. Meanwhile, the worship has been moved from Jerusalem to inside of us. Maybe that's why God just shut all the churches so that all of us can consider. Like this 2 months now, I've read how many chapters of the Bible. I pray regularly. Maybe more of those things should even happen so that we will get the initial objective of bringing Christ, of making worship personal, will come to bear. So we have all received modicums of these values. Even in our villages, those that grew up in the villages, there are standards. Pets, they say when there's a war and you're holding a Bible, you're a madman. It takes the grace of God and a lot of discipline for you to want to apply those things. So a lot of people have given up. Let me give you a very simple example. One of the most frustrating things that can happen to you, for instance, is if somebody runs into your car you're driving, you just get confused. Who do you report to? Should I go to the police station? If I go, who I know there? If I go, do I, you just get confused. But the same places who we copied these things from, when these things are, can I have your insurance? The people to call, the institutions to fall back on. I give you, yeah, a torture chamber was set up in Port Harcourt, less than 1 kilometer from the governor's bedroom. And we have been able to bring out these people. Somebody was tortured to death. As I speak to you, those policemen are still in service. And what are we talking about? And it's a risky thing to even speak out because people who can torture people and stand by it, can eliminate you. Particularly for an institution where they buy their bullets, they don't account for their bullets like the DSS. So everything, the fundamentals which are supposed to act as framework for society, we've thrown them away. We've just thrown them away. So whatever upbringing you have brought, if you have to be smart and apply wisdom, as the Bible says, not to offend people, because once you begin to do that which is right, particularly if you're not in a structured environment that rewards and sanctions him accordingly, you're bound to get into trouble. Hello? Hello? Hello, are you there? Hello, hello.
Hello, Eugene.
Can you hear me?
I'm so sorry. We're having the usual internet issue. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me,
Yes,
Eugene?
I can. Yes, I can hear you
Eugene?
now. Yes, I can hear you.
Good. Please, let's continue. So sorry about that. We keep having these issues, these crazy internet issues, and that's very sad. Considering that we have three various devices to help us get by, but it's okay. It's part of the challenges we face in our country. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't. At what
Can you
point?
hear me, Eugene?
What point did you lose me?
Yes. So I heard you up till the point where you were talking about even in the churches and the issues
Okay.
with the institutions that are completely broken down. So, but let me take you up on some of the things you've talked about because these you're making some very damning statements, and we haven't even gotten to part of it. Let me first say that I disagree with you that it's impossible to stay straight in public office. I agree that
I didn't say
only
it's
a tiny
impossible.
minority might choose. Okay, so okay,
Mm.
that means we're on the same
But
page.
that
That
you'll be a sore thumb. You'll be sticking out, and you have to be very
you will
careful.
stick out. You
Yeah.
probably and you may not last long. True, but it is what but it is what it is. But what is more critical is you left banking. You left the safety of banking and you joined the Chartered Institute of Troubleshakers. And people are going to ask, what sense does that make? You had a young family, um, and so you have to convince us that this is, and I'm going to come back, by the way, to the issue of providing funds for area boys, because there are those that will also accuse you of being guilty and vicariously liable for that 68 billion that Nigeria is spending. So I'm coming back to you on that. But before I head back to you on that, is the fact of why did you leave the safety of banking? To do what? What was the plan? And why did your wife not break your head, by the way?
I discussed it before I take major steps. I discussed it with my wife, and she will ask the questions that needs to be asked. And why did I leave the industry? I left the industry because automation was coming in, and at a certain level in banking, it becomes political, and becomes political. And the banking sector too has become one man business. It has it has become one man business, and they're no longer as institutions. It's not a career as it used to be, in the sense that you could plan your life there, and your pension and gratuity will carry for the rest of your life. Those things are no longer good. They've all been thrown. The profit motive has thrown all those things overboard. So I didn't want to make the mistakes my father did. Not that he did a mistake, but society failed him. I just said, look, at a point in time, all of us must leave paid employment and begin to learn how to make money. Don't forget,
Hmm.
they told us that once you go to school, don't forget our parents were British,
Mm-hmm.
that the rest will be added onto you. Number two, they told us that we must avoid the
Mm-hmm.
five most important things in life, which is chieftaincy, which has to do with control of the people, land, they go kill you, military, which means power and authority, and politics, which accounts for policies, control. They say if you go, you go die. The important things they told us to abstain from them. So now, all of us, a lot of us, my 98% of my generation have wonderful degrees, but we do not know how to transform them into meals on our tables. So today, some of our daughters come home with iPhones that we cannot ask them where they got it from. That's how bad it is. So the highest class of sycophants are my generation people. They cannot speak truth to power because they're scared. We have started become falling sick. Our blood pressures are up here. Uh, School fees are facing us because our kids are, some of our schools are not yet graduated. Most of us are not sure of the next meal because we do not have pensions, we do not have sources of incomes, and so all of these things I thought about. So in 2002, with what I suffered with my when I got married, immediately I got married, I lost everything. I was doing 2 jobs, I was doing 3 jobs. I lost everything as I got married. At a point, we couldn't feed we had a child, we couldn't feed that boy. And we joined hands and prayed that we will not have another child until we can feed that child. So when I came back into banking in 1999, and by chance, we just decided to say, look, let my family leave this place. Why did I relocate my family? I said, I will not allow any of my child again that no matter how bad it is, that food, house, hospital will be a problem. So I relocated my family. The challenges of distant marriage. According to my friends, it's a Bluetooth marriage. If your children are at risk, your marriage is at risk, you're at risk too. So it takes a lot for you to put yourself together. But I took a deliberate decision, and I was in UBA, and I went to meet. I had a very God-fearing group head, Godioki. I had a wonderful boss, Wogo. I said, Madam, I dey go. She said, she calls me Elder Elder. I said, I dey go. You don't, this place, they don't need us here anymore. We need to go. Immediately I logged on to the system and keyed in. My group had just called, where are you? Tell me. They say, wait there, I'm coming. And when he came, the first question is, as the question you just asked me, have you told your wife? I said, yes, I've discussed it. Said, I'm not sure, I need to talk to your wife. How can you take this? I said, okay, it is time for us to go. Guess what? I left in June. I stayed with them because I didn't want my staff to lose their jobs. So I was working for free, pro bono, until like September to make sure they hold the accounts, and because I didn't want to do banking anymore, even though a bank was coming on stream, which I was supposed to be, had some form of interest. That man, wonderful man, was asked to leave unceremoniously with the name of cost cutting. First week of January. Who does that? And when it happened, just called me, Abels, you said it. I said, I tell you. So basically, I left. I said I needed to come and learn how to survive without that salary. And by the grace of God, I've done it for so long. Before I was conscripted into the amnesty program with at gunpoint. But like, I left it. I needed to know how to learn how to fend for myself or my family without expecting a wage.
How did you learn? So, what did you leave it to do? You see, on Conversations with IB, we're interested in the how.
I have acquired a lot. Don't forget, I worked in manufacturing. I was a purchasing officer. Yes, I'm a runner. And I'm a salesperson. When I say what, let's conclude that big title of marketing, business manager, so in banking. You're a salesman. You're selling your institution. You're selling service.
So,
You're
so, so, so,
integrating
so,
your
they
yeah.
do. Were you doing attack markets? Were you doing buying and selling? Were you doing what
I'm
were
not.
the things
I'm
you were
not. I'm a
doing?
transaction. I'm a transaction person. I have acquired skills, and one of the things that is very scarce now, that has been scarce for a long time, is integrity. People are looking for who to trust. Yes, so it's to begin to tell those people I'm available. They say, Abels, who will do this thing? Send for Abels. Who can do this thing and you can go to sleep? Send for Abels. Every time my wife, she will tell you he will do the job. Oh, he will not come home as if I get the business because I don't give 40%. I give 110%. I give you bonus 10% for having found confidence in me. So I do, and so I find it very embarrassing, which every Nigerian finds embarrassing. We ask them, what do you do? We do everything that is legal. transactional business, and
So in short, where everything is on the table.
on the table as long as it is legal. Yes. So,
When you want to when you want to register a company, when you want to register a company in Nigeria,
mm,
you start with what you want to do. Then you list everything else.
everything, including hairdressing.
Eh?
Hmm.
General and
Including hairdressing. Hmm.
merchandise, clearing and
Hmm.
forwarding, printing, publishing, manufacturing,
Everything.
everything.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All day for the company
All of it.
profile.
Hmm.
Everything. As long as it's legal, Eugene Apels is available to do it.
Oh
Challenging
yeah.
person.
The
I had
more
the creativity
challenging, the
to
better.
write
Yeah.
lobbying. Yeah, it was a crazy story. And by the way, that was an interesting story. And I recall that my husband went with me for the first one and he couldn't deal with the advances at the nightclub. So he came back and he said to me, you know what? He just picked up. So he said, Jai, come and carry this, your crazy sister. To going.
I was still that palace, Abi.
So see that balance.
Yeah.
So, I hear
Where they
you.
had the
I hear the
Filipino
issue of
girls.
trust. Yes, when they had the Filipino girls. So, but you see, that's really the point. And you've hit one of the main issues we've been trying to get around all evening. That one of the things that is lost is the issue of people who can display a trust quotient. Let's go back to the issue of follow your passion. One of the things people say about you is that you're passionate, and your wife already said that. You go do and like say, now you get the business. What is it that drives your passion? Why do you throw yourself into all of this?
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, you're
Oh, yeah.
breaking. Okay. Um, but
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear
yeah,
you. Why do you throw yourself into these things?
first of all, for you to every day we wake up is a reflection of the resurrection miracle. People have passed on, and you have come this far. Just look back. Say, I like that song. Count your blessings, know them one by one. Uh, those things you think you take for granted, like we were just gisting before we came online, and I said we're talking about sleep. I said this. I know people who have not slept in 2 years. Yes, they drink all sorts of things to sleep. So I don't. I am a very. I was an only child for 15 years, and I am always very grateful because I am not the best. I am not the most learned, but like one way or the other, God has, his way. Say once you plant, He will water it. You do. So whenever I'm giving anything, who are the recipients of this your action? How will you feel that this thing you did, somebody is somewhere dying because you didn't do what you were supposed to do? In banking, yesterday we were discussing, and I was talking with my sister-in-law, and she was complaining about somebody who said she has not downloaded a particular app on her phone because the company didn't give her a phone. Meanwhile, she earns 300 times more than the phone that they give. Her phone is even better than that. I said, no man, in the bank will just sack you. Because on Sunday, your MD calls you, where are you? And the phone must not ring more than 3 times. They send you a mail, must not be more than, that your mail must not stand more than 30 minutes. So if people give you an assignment, you must be accountable. When we were about leaving the amnesty office and there was change of government, people were grumbling. I said, no, if you're giving public funds to manage, kindly do not be offended to give account. It's called you account, then you do a hand holding process. It's a moral and bureaucratic requirement for every professional that you must handhold your your successor through a period. Not a bad blood. Yes, it's not your government. So what? It's the people, their beneficiary, their kids involved. So whatever you give to me, first of all, I find it that you have must have found something in me It's a thing of honor that you're asking me to do something, even if you're paying. You could have called, there are 2 million people. This is a country of 100, even though our figure is based on lies. You find about 100 million people who will do that same thing for free. And somebody tells you do this thing. Please, we'll do it and add data so that they can call you again. You do not know where this testimony will be given, which it's we the business in bank is about referrals. So we grow that table. We do not play with it. We do not erode the brand. It's there's a way you behave. Larry Pepper will tell you you won't take you won't take your integrity too for play chop 'em. If you chop 'em, your own don't finish.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm. Wonderful. You do not erode the brand.
you
I like
don't.
that. You don't erode the brand. So let me talk about this a bit more, Eugene. And we're talking about people who are people of passion. You walked away from banking. You walked away from a regular job because you projected and you didn't see where it was getting to, right? But there are those that will say, is passion enough? Can I profit from passion? Is it enough? We started talking about social entrepreneurship and the fact that it's a critical thing in our community, in our society, not just in Nigeria, across the world, right? So, social entrepreneurs are a critical need. But how does a social entrepreneur survive? How? How do I make money? I'm following my passion. I have bills, children to go to school, food to eat, parents, health. How?
Yeah, it's your passion cannot just your passion alone cannot feed you. Yeah, and you need to be strategic, particularly once you're doing things. Once you want to be a table shaker. The people who are watching out for where are your lines of supply so that they can cut it down. Don't forget one of the major weapons that have been applied that have been enhanced so much based on the 48 laws of power is the weaponization of poverty by the political class. Yes, this deliberately been done. Yeah. So you must look for alternate sources that do not have anything to do with them for them to survive. Your bills are there. The Bible says he that cannot provide for his family is worse than an infidel. So you have a moral responsibility to provide for your child before your child begins to ask you questions and tell you all this your baby grammar, how far. So
Attire, even myself,
yes,
Udeya.
uh-huh. So once you're beginning to look and you think the place is looking cloudy, enter bus, travel go Lagos. When you go Lagos, no talk, just they look around. In 1 week, you will not hear anybody say political appointment or will they go see this politician or I am lawyer. Then you begin to ask yourself, how did they survive? You hear this one is doing, you see his big jeep. You say, what do you do? Say, I sell ice cream. This other one,
I do.
what do you do? I have a farm in this. I'm going there next in Delta State. What do you farm? Cassava. Cassava. Yes, I supply MBL and do this. So the banking you talk to this person. I sell lights. This you talk to this other person. I train people. And yes, I can train people. So what of clientele? Ah, I had to reach out to my old boys association and look for my classmates and things. Yeah. So you need to look first of all, start. Beautiful picture for me in my mind at every point in time. I used to be worried that if I need to start anything, I need to have the money in place. No, like I tell people, what you need is collaboration. What you need, your passion once you step, you must exercise faith by stepping out. But before you step out, you must look at what are the resources that are available within and around me. Yes, once you do that, leave the titles. The titles don't matter. The bills don't respect titles. They don't respect your grammar. The bills have to be paid when they have to be paid. And the case of is not cutting your coat according to your size, it's about availability of the material. Like I don't wear
Anytime when the material reach.
E day first. I don't wear designer
Okay.
things.
Mm.
Whether the material day before you begin look label. I don't wear designer
Eh,
things. Like I told my son in secondary school, I said, Daniel, do not copy people. Raise your standard. Let them begin to copy you. The things I wear, sometimes I buy from traffic, but because na me wear am, I'm the brand, not the thing I wear. I had
wow.
to deliver myself. Yes, I'm the brand. Yes, so because of what I wear, as I'm talking to you now, this t-shirt Nigerian club. This is basic spec saver. I have yes, and you must. So you have your bills to do. You look at your resources and the people you are, your classmates, the people you know. That's why relationships are good. And where are the things people? Where do people need service to be provided? You don't sit in your house, you fast and pray. The pastors have told us prayer does not bring money. Prayer enables heavens to open, but you must step out. And stepping out in faith, you must step out with a plan. And even if the plan doesn't work, just always remember that picture of that first bottle of Coca-Cola. It was in a pharmacy, in a chemist, as we call it, not pharmacy. Uh-huh. But today is a brand after Jesus Christ. The next biggest brand is Coca-Cola, but it started small. Yeah. Then look at the superstars with Beyonce and all of. They all sell things. They sell things. They're selling one thing or one service or one product or other, either as main or through third parties. As a mobile phone like this, they might be the people supplying the light. You don't know because they need to keep that income stream flowing. Yes, they peg their
Wow.
expenses. Yeah, they
Wow.
do things. So you look around, there are people who need services. Yeah. Now, and you must be able to read your environment. I live in Port Harcourt, very toxic environment politically because of immaturity and so on. So if you want to be relevant here, you must be seen to be non-partisan. The day you become partisan, it becomes very dangerous for you to speak. Yes, and you doors will close. Yeah. But for me, both sides call me, so Abel talk about that. That's the way you talk. You work for us, talk them. And they never settle us. Make our guard them here. Yeah. So if
No,
you
but
want me to,
Gino, let me
yeah.
even interrupt you here now. Ah, how did
Mm.
you enter inside my trap before I finish setting it? How can you say people believe you belong to a political party? And because my show, I'm not here to advertise any of the parties, I will refuse to name because they
Mm-mm.
haven't paid money for advert space.
I'll
When they
help
pay
you.
us for when they pay
Uh,
us for advert space, if you
mm.
name, you pay. When they pay us for advert space,
You notice when I
then
showed the
we
water,
can.
I held the label, I covered it because they've
Because
not paid.
conversations with IB will not give free adverts. You
I
just say
am
we
in
should
support.
collect money.
Mm.
So if you name any party, you pay. We're not doing free advertising for nobody. But here's the thing: people accuse you of belonging to a political
Yes,
party.
when they do, look at
Defend
ask
yourself.
them when they once those are first of all, when you want to come to the public space and you want to say the truth or you want to speak to like a taxi driver told me, say, okay, say anytime you talk through it, they spoil somebody business. It shook me to my bones. Anytime you talk through somebody business, you destroy. So when you want to do, and those are just know that the accusation will come. Once it's against one side, the other side will say it's the other side. So normally we throw it at them, we're sarcastic and say, this message is sponsored, powered by the other group. So that before you go to
But
the daughter,
most of the time, it is for
mm,
one group that you have been accused of speaking.
no,
You
no,
have
it's
been
not true.
accused of speaking for one group.
It's not true. I tell people you cannot abuse the federal government if you don't domesticate the matter. Yeah. So yes, charity begins at home. Your knowledge, all that drama, it is not the responsibility of the president to develop your state. No, or to develop FINIMA. No, it is not. Yes, it is not the president responsibility of the president to develop money. It is called politics. Why?
Hmm.
Because the resources are scarce. It is called policy because they're competing interests. Please do not be emotional about it. That the Fulani people have a plan. If you decide not to have a plan, like my people in Bonny, now you're thorough.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So
like now, this
again,
today now, today we started one thing that's buzzing now, that everybody
mm,
has suddenly realized that the engineering of the train 7 mostly will be done in Lagos.
yes, so
Now
yes, so
everybody, I posted it now, my page is buzzing. Yeah, but people have been wearing
no,
it to go and attending meetings. So what is the plan of my people, Pinima people, and Grand
no,
Bonny, and
but why are we
Impani?
even talking about that? What about what Brass lost that is
Uh-huh.
floating, Saipem that is floating in the
Yeah.
off the shore in Lagos? But anyway, those are issues that and that brings me to the issue of what you have been doing,
Now, let
being
me,
a
before you go
voice.
further, anybody, once
Okay.
they tell you, once you tell me I belong, this man is sponsored. First of all, it means that you are an easy opponent, meaning that you don't have capacity. Because I do not engage in, anytime I do a criticism, I must proffer solutions, way out. Because every 10 Nigerians you meet, ask them the problem of Nigeria. In 5 seconds, they reel out the problem. Ask them the way forward or their suggestion. Suddenly, 9 people, like those 9 blind men that Jesus healed, they disappear. So I tell people, don't engage in the criticism. What are you seeing? How do we get out of it? So I will never do a critique without profiling the way forward. So if I provide the way forward and you don't engage me on the issues I've raised, I know that you are empty. So I normally welcome you. So I shred you without being insulted, so that you don't go and kill me.
Okay. You're passionate about the Niger Delta. That goes without saying. And very passionate about Port Harcourt. By the way, you straddle Rivers and Bayelsa states. Um, but something is clear, and there are those who would say that the Niger Delta is its own problem. And that brings me to your role in the provision of 68 billion for those people who you say have held us to ransom. You are part of the Niger Delta, and the Niger Delta problem appears to be intractable. Yet people will say that the elite are actually the cause of the problem. They're the ones who sit at the sharing tables. They're the ones who have the conversations. They're the ones who sit in the boardrooms and who travel to Vienna and Austria and all of the places. They're the ones who don't bring back solutions. They're the ones who head the intervention agencies. Why has the Niger Delta problem remained intractable in your view?
Like I always say, I don't believe in cliches. I don't believe in those titles. Then, yeah, the things you're having is a failure of governance from the top. Yeah, Nigeria has developed a very terrible habit.
But
When
other regions are functioning, Eugene.
coming. Once there's a problem, instead of Nigeria to confront the problem, like they say, what you can't confront, you can't change. Nigeria begins to grant the concessions. Nigeria begins to talk on negotiation because of people that want to profit from it. Simply put, you have a security challenge. Instead of you to sit down and deal with it and agree that you have failed, that look, we need to rearrange ourselves, reorganize, so tweak, sanction, reward, and make things happen. Nigeria begins to keeps adjusting, going backwards, trying to get into the war until they are forced to a negotiating table. There's one facing us currently, the headsman, the president. I don't believe in Niger Delta. I grew up not knowing Niger Delta.
Again,
I,
Eugene, return
yes,
to the issue at
I
hand.
am
We
coming.
will go to the other one, but
I
I
am
need
coming.
you to
I just
address the
want.
fact
I am.
of a
Yes.
region that gets so much and does so little for
Yes,
itself.
I'm telling you, there's a failure of governance all the way down. Because by 2003, when weapons started coming into the region, I was telling the people in the villa that their weapons. I'm a banker. I bank prostitutes. I bank armed robbers. I bank everybody. Yes. So I'm trained to compartmentalize information. Yeah. So when these issues start, I was against the amnesty program. Today we are here facing it. The president told us headsmen are foreigners. The Sultan of Sokoto confirmed it. The Kaduna State government, what have you done? Nothing. It's the same thing that happened in the region. And normally when these things are orchestrated, people, Nigerians master it to ensure they will package it. So if you look at it, I don't believe in the intervention agencies because I'm a banker. I can turn around this region. This is the only country that God brings dollars every month, shares to 3 tiers of God. It happens no other place. I was telling somebody that day, I can change this country in less than 6 months. You will know that. You will feel it. No joking. I can run this police. I'm a banker. I will turn it around. I have how many?
Okay,
35. I have 35 statutory ministries. I do not have I do not need an intervention ministry for me to know what to do. I don't. What you as you come for your budget, it will be public now. Show me your percentage for this
is
area.
this just a question of the
It's
failure
a
of
failure
governance,
of institutions.
or is it also about the benefit, the rent culture that continues to encourage
So
a
the rent
benefit
culture, the,
economy?
the rent culture is the fallout. It's a failure of the institutions. It's an
And the
total
conflict entrepreneurs?
those are fallouts. You can't exist. You can't exist if I do not provide the environment for you. I sign as governor, I sign the checks. I refuse to sign death warrants. And I recycle the people to the emboldened. Come on. Could you try it under Abacha? We lived here now. We lived in Nigeria. We saw they will take you to armed robber station now. When Oyenisu they were being shot now. You will see it. You don't try it. But once these institutions are eroded, what do we expect? People will manipulate it. That's why whenever the civil servants, I was talking about it 2 days ago, they cry, oh, our pension. You were there. No governor can make a payment without you, a civil servant, agreeing that that money is be paid. If I'm accountant general, I will tell my people to stone me pure water. I will tell governor, see, oh, who could I pay this their pension contribution? Because I know I will end up one day. But all of them are hoping to be on that food share. So what I'm simply saying, I do not believe in this northern governor, southern governor. I believe in leadership. When I was growing up, when they were knocking my door in Uniport to dress my bed, they didn't need to know if it was a Nembe man. It was a Calabar VC. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
this,
Eugene,
we must come to the fact that competence have been thrown out of the window.
what
We-
do
we-
we do?
What
Conversations
we
with IB deals with
first
what
of
do we do?
all, what we need to do is for
And
us to agree
hold on,
that we
hold on, hold on, hold your horses. What do we do? But first of all, when are you running for office?
in this present situation. I'm doing a video. I do short
Ah,
videos. Uh, I'm doing a video. Look at what's happening to Obaseki now. You cannot. Let me.
what else
Hello,
cannot?
are you there?
All of us
Let's go.
have to.
No, hold
Yes,
on.
yes, yes,
Let's
I'm
go
here.
there. Let's go there. Yeah. Now
Yes.
you remember not too young to run. You
Uh-huh.
remember? You remember when they started? I was
Yes.
running and laughing. Now when they were doing that, not too young to run. Why? Because one delegate in a political party is equivalent to 100,000 not too young to run people. What do I mean? The structure, the political parties are vehicles that constitutionally provide the candidate. So once they hijack it, as they have hijacked it, you're doing not too young to run. If they put this bottle before you, that's what you vote for. That's why some of those parties you have sleepers and dog fowl as their
Again, Eugene, the question is, are
yeah.
we saying this cannot change? Are we
We
saying this cannot change?
cannot
If we know there is a problem, how are you planning to tackle it?
my
How are those of us who feel that there is an issue? I see people in the chat room saying this is possible and all of that. Why can't you, Table Shaker, Association of Chartered Table Shakers, why can't all of you move from shaking tables on the outside to shake the tables on the inside.
How are you
Why
going to
can't
do
you
it?
do that? By
You
getting
can't.
involved.
How
By
you
getting
will not?
involved. By getting
You
involved.
can't. It can't work. I
Why?
know. I have followed politicians since 1999. I understand how it works. Look at what Obaseki is facing. You know, he understands the game. You need the money. You need the voice. You need the structure. Yeah, it is what the
So,
political parties put before you. That if you go and join it now, you won't even become world
so
leaders. You cannot,
Eugene,
because yeah,
what you're
they
then
don't
saying
need
to me
you.
is that it is an exercise in futility for us
Exactly.
to
It's
hope to
appointment.
change.
Yes.
Okay,
For how come
so what are we doing here?
there are three phases
So
of
what are we doing
elections
here?
now? For
Yeah.
you to be elected, there are three phases. The
So
phase
Joy
of being
Abiafi says it is possible though.
I come, I will enroll you. I have all the parties are my friends. I will enroll you. I come, then I'll teach you. There are three phases to be elected in Nigeria. The phase of getting into the system. The second phase of there's INEC, there are the courts, and there are security people, and the party. Where you want to start and from? You cannot. You cannot. Not in this present thing. What have you seen when a politician say I have boys? What does it mean? You think they're sharing chocolate? They're not sharing
Okay, so
chocolate.
what you're saying in effect is that we shouldn't bother to try.
What I am saying in effect is that what I have been doing is first of all to agree that what we're doing cannot take us to the next level. We're going to collapse the way we are going. It's showing now what we're doing, except one way. Now God can do things somehow. Then one kind leader emerges who says, "Look, okay, don't do. I want to tear this place." There has to be internal party democracy before we can look at the issue of direct and
So
indirect primaries. That me and you agreed to join to come and talk on IB Speaks, and we're talking. Time to vote. You say no. We need to nominate delegates who will talk for me. Chineke, how does that work? No.
okay, so Eugene, I'm sitting down here and I'm wondering why you then bother to do what you do. You bother to continue to shout, and yet you think there is no hope. So why do you shout? Because we're saying that we want to move. Don't forget that you said you criticize and then you proffer solutions. You don't want to be
Yeah.
part of the solution. Why do you do what you do?
I'm already part of the solution now. Because
By
the first principle is for you to admit you have a problem. And Nigeria is pretending as if they don't have a problem.
okay.
I'll give you an example. I came back from seeing my family, 12th of January. I started shouting that there's a pandemic coming. And I had to shout and shout and shout. I was like a crazy man. River State didn't have a manager for health until 1st of March. It's wrong rocket science. We have a problem. The people who are going to take over from us do not have the capacity. They're doing mass promotions. Right now, the biggest problem we have in Nigeria is that people have stopped reasoning, particularly the younger people. They lack the capacity to articulate their perspective. That's my campaign. I'm telling you, look, you are sick. You need to agree you are sick. And you also need to ask, how do we begin to get this healing? When we realize and agree we are sick, then we begin to have the conversation how to get out of the ailment. But if you don't agree you're sick and you want to continue, you're going to put old new wine in old wine skin. Yeah, you're going to do that.
I'll
Yeah.
take there's a matter that appears to be burdensome, and then we'll close with the issue of the suit. And that's the fact that I was looking on Facebook and I saw a chat, and everybody on the chat was using some kind of cult lingo. And they were all people in Port Harcourt. And it appeared to resonate with the belief by most people that the entire Niger Delta, and especially Port Harcourt and River State, is peopled by cultists or by people. I don't like to call them cultists as much as I like to call them street gangs, violent street gangs. Um, and isn't that troubling? First, is this the fact? Secondly, isn't that troubling?
It's a nationwide problem. It's a nationwide problem. The Kaduna Abuja road will tell you, may you not from Kaduna from Abuja up, and you're a man, may you not be kidnapped. You're likely to be raped by men. Yes, it's a national problem. You saw what happened in the Ikorodu. We know Lagos from Idumota to Ijaniki. We know it's in there. Yes, go to Calabar, same thing. Go to Jos, the Middle Belt, same thing. Yeah, what simply meaning that the system has failed. We're just still managing it. Yeah, it's not leave all those categorization. It's not it's a national problem. It's a national problem. Let's stop sounding like Black Americans that are still blaming slavery 200 years after. It's a national problem. Yes, it's a national problem. And as long as we cannot sanction people, as long as we keep allowing the justice system for magistrates to begin to write to hand, as long as we continue to allow policemen to deliberately charge matters to courts that do not have jurisdiction just to punish people, as long as we will not sign death warrants, we will continue to embolden the system and the people, the non-state actors who will destroy us.
I didn't bring you on to conversations with IB to leave us with a sleepless night, Eugene. We brought you on this show to talk solutions, and you're not giving us any. I don't know if my guests
No.
are satisfied with this kind of stomach ache you're leaving them.
We're in trouble.
Yes,
Satan
but
has applied. Satan has applied
can
to
we
live
get
Nigeria.
out of this trouble? Is my question.
Yes,
How?
yes. Let me just very simple. Let me take it from the federal government level. I was a student when Buhari took over power as a military man.
By the way,
Yes.
Don
Yeah.
Kessler says we should pioneer a movement and start an
Yeah,
academy.
he was a military man. He was young, and he had a very strong lieutenant who I was praying would have been the chief of defense. That unfortunately died. Tunde Diagbon. Yes, they had their limitations and their excesses, but at least, like Babangida would say, it is worse for a man not to act. Today, the man is back in office. He's not that young, but he's there. And I asked the people around him, I say, can't you people just make this man look good? There are lots of low hanging fruits that will help change things and make things make this administration shine. Don't you bother? Osibanjo himself, there is a lot. I know you're afraid that he will want to be a president. Don't worry. You can cage him, but allow him, use him. There are lots of people. But you cannot keep running things that you criticize the same way. Come to the states, there's no issue of governance. That's why you hear governors say, you hear governors say, my state. Chineke. As for local governments, their house helps. They don't exist. So in us, we say we're two, and Satan has applied to God to leave Nigeria. Because for a nation like this, you didn't bring the GSM technology. It's not your creation. BVN is not your creation. Your chip on your identity card and passport is not your creation, but you can use it. You're doing a budget based on falsehood. Once you don't know the number of people you have in a country, everything about your fiscal policies and everything, it's a lie and a mirage. If you don't know how many spots of soup do you know how that you cook? So Satan say he's
I have
going
a
to
friend
give
who
more
says,
serious people.
first of all, Sobero Pusuji is not satisfied with your response on the question about Port Harcourt lingo. He wants you to address
That's the
that.
least of our
Um,
problem. I said that those
what
things it's a reflection of society. If you like that lingo, it's if you might not even understand them when they speak.
I
When
tell you the
school,
truth,
yes, you won't. Yeah, it's a whole
I
world
don't.
out there. When schools are on mass promotion, there are schools in River State that one teacher. So they're in the hinterland, people are promoting them. It's a River State, for instance, and Abia and those states around are revenue centers for WAEC. As a governor, I will not let it happen. You come and sit at civic center, do your work. You will not do it in my, you will not do it in the state I govern. But do we have a plan for that? No. Do we realize the consequence of not addressing those issues? No. So this is what is reigning. So you find out that you cannot, the average young person cannot engage you in a debate. They cannot. Yes, they cannot, because they like to abbreviate their words. The Twitter generation, everything is shortcuts, fast food, fast food, fast food. Life is not about that. For you to be critical, for you to be taken seriously, you need to be able to articulate your position. You need to engage. You need to provide solution, and you must be open-minded enough for people to, you ask people to critique it, so that you see the gaps then. Why do I say? Because that's the nature of my training. Because if I tell you as my customer that this loan we're going to give it to you, and I go to head office to meet the credit committee, I'm going to think of every likely question they will ask me. So that as they're asking me, I'm going to show them the risks and how I'm planning to mitigate about it. So if we're not doing this, there's no connect. Governance no longer exists in Nigeria at all
Well,
levels.
Eugene, yeah,
Yes,
Eugene, this is sad, and much as we want to
it's
laugh,
scary.
it doesn't give us much hope. And there are those who would say, "Well, what are you doing about it?"
What I'm doing about is what I'm doing here, being on the front lines every day. I've been sick because I broke down. Yeah, I've been on the front lines day in, going here, talk here, do this, do that. We're talking, we're there. And most times I'm under threat. Sometimes I have to run and hide under my bed, leave my house, because some people, once, according to Archbishop Desmond Tutu, he says when your voice goes louder in an argument, it means you don't have, you're losing the argument, you don't have points again to provide. So
Mm-hmm,
once they don't, instead of them to engage you, you begin to receive threats from called groups and all sorts of things. Then, yeah, or people warning you, be careful and that. Yes, they do. People warn. I don't want to be a martyr. I have told God I don't want to be a martyr. No, Nigeria does not desire. I will not die. No, but I will keep speaking, because there's something we do. A friend of mine, Shola grew up as a Port Harcourt boy. He knows what Ofingo is and Ngolo is. Shola on Saturdays goes to BMH, the emergency entrance. He just stand there. He will stand there. So if you call him, say, where is there? Say, we'll just stand there. He say, sit down, down. They come. Say, come. What did they happen? Say they said, when my sister they die, they smoke we pay 3,000 now. You no get 3,000. No get. You give them 3,000. They'll solve that problem. Save that. We do it all the time. Whenever we try to do those things as much as possible. That's where we are. When you see those people, when you see those children that do not, they think they have hope. I see no hope, because once you lose that foundation which we got in township school, which we got in Port Harcourt Primary, where are you going to start from? Then to compete with the people in Lagos? I see no hope in you. Yeah. So for me, is to begin to point to you that look, you have a problem. This afternoon, there was a conversation on Facebook and about one of the political parties which didn't participate in elections, and I was accusing the young people, is it not time for you young people to come together and respectfully and insist that the elders must sit down and begin a conversation of reconciliation? Reconciliation did not say you will not suffer pain, but the essence of joining this thing is to propagate your interest. But if you don't participate in the process, it means you have scored zero. So if you people who are the foot soldiers are still waiting for the same people who led you into trouble, then you don't understand, you don't even know yourself on why you joined what you're doing. You're there you want to be on the food chain. That's simply all about. Meanwhile, this where you are can change your life. So we have a problem as a nation. And the problem now is no longer about Nigeria is looking at us like this, that we do no
Orchestra, I think
longer
I
have
should
the
bring you on my show next because you are harassing Eugene.
He's my partner on the creative economy. We try to make people to realize that all that story of government provide work, no government provides job enough. We need to begin to become creative. We need to.
But
That's
that
like
is a
what we.
fact.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
Yes. You
That is a
need to
fact.
be. Yeah.
So I sit down and, we've talked about a lot of things. And I think that one of the things we've talked about is the issue of the citizens taking their destiny in their own hands. Unfortunately, our time is up, but I cannot go until I deal with the matter of the pollution in Port Harcourt. The
And
Stop
Bonnie.
the Soot campaign, indeed, in the entire region, and what is going on. This matter is in court. Um, I can say very honestly that I've been a victim of that, and I shared my story with you. I had a terrible situation where I had a growth because, and when the respiratory physician looked at me, he took one look and he said clearly, and in fact, he asked me, "Do you work on an oil rig?" That was his question. So that's the problem. The problem is we're dealing with all of this. How can we address issues of our environment? And after that, you have to come back to tell me, how do we cause the disruptions that will enable government sit up?
Okay. First of all, the laws about environment in Nigeria are federal in nature. The regulators are federal in nature. Those who are causing the pollution are federal in nature. But there's an aspect called sanitation. There's an aspect called health. And so I said something. Why? What are we suffering currently now? This is a region that, particularly like River State, there's been exploration of about 60 years here. So it is time for us to call for an environmental audit to know where we stand. Look at what happened in Bonny, the coastline of the Bight of Bonny, where a particular set of fish became poisoned. I had to call BBC, Nostra, and so on to go there. Meanwhile, there are people who are title, who are big title there. They saw it and lived there. They're keeping quiet. Now, the next thing, a whale was found dead. People went to eat
Mm,
it. I had to call people to go, BBC and so on and so forth. And I'm asking, there's all this. And I said, no, what about the toxicity of that water? Since after cocoa was exposed about this disposal of radioactive material, where
yes.
have these people been disposing their radioactive material? I hear people are containerizing them and dumping them in the ocean. Maybe leakages will have started. We need to check that. Yeah. Now, the laws are environmental. They will say what artisanal refiners are doing. Look at a son of this region suggested in Zamfara. Have you heard any shooting in Zamfara since? No. He told the governor, get the people organized, let the artisanal refiners all come and everybody mine, but you must register with us. Yeah. But I'm saying, if I turn the table the other way, and imagine that the governor,
But that
my
has
governor,
also happened here. We've said that modular refineries, the federal government has said
how
it will
much is a
give
modular refinery? $5 million from a poor country like Belarus. Leave the big name. First of all, let's know who they are. Let us have the conversation and begin to how we can work it out. How we can work it out. The recent report by SDN has shown that imported fuel, the local profile products contain less sulfur than the imported products. You see where I told you
Eugene,
that
that's a
government.
challenge. Let me just tell you. So, conversations with IB, along with the Extra Step Initiative, have a town hall meeting to plan.
No problem. Yeah. So imagine that the governor says that if you're a local, you know how they give the instructions that if I hear that there's no fire in your local government, I will remove you. Tomorrow,
I'll
no
remove
fire
you.
will end because each local government chairman has 12 million. We're looking at creative ways. These my suggestions are all in writing. Yes. Imagine that the governor instigates a lawsuit through the Bonny people against Federal Minister of Environment. Will action not be taken? It will. Now, there's a danger here now. Because of the prevalence of particulate matter, recently LNG shut down. They needed to restart. People were asking, they gave a 3 paragraph press statement that all stakeholders were there. Once you're breathing in polluted air, your immunity begins to drop. So I'm not surprised
Exactly.
what is happening in Bonny. I
Exactly.
am not because that stack is originally is supposed to have been in the ocean, not on the island.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the pollution, remember the dead fishes? Remember the dead whale, then the sudden
Yeah.
rise of resistant malaria and typhoid, and suddenly I've lost relatives in it now. So the whole
Sorry
thing
about
is
that.
here. Now, what are we doing? We have protested. We wrote a petition, 300, not just a petition, backed by researched findings, about 400 pages to the UN. Our own daughter, Amina, is in the UN. She was in London receiving an award. The UN have they have not even had the courtesy of acknowledging that we've submitted to their local office at Moscow Road there in Port Harcourt several, more than one copy. They don't know I'm building fast because what will happen to them is what will happen to FIFA. What happened to FIFA, we will do it to them. Then the World Health Organization, we also sent to them. We started talking about air pollution. What did they do? End of the budgetary year in 2018, they quickly arranged a summit in Geneva without where he made a statement that the next biggest killer is air pollution, where 7 million people are dying, without acknowledging what we have been pointing, or even acknowledging that, look, all we're saying, just acknowledge that these people have a problem. And let's begin the conversation and conducting an audit. It's not about compensation. That people are beginning to die. We do not have the medical facilities to manage these things. We keep blaming the witches. The witches are complaining that they're not responsible for the deaths of people. Yes, babies have died. Yeah, because they call me. People call me. So what have we done? We have decided to go to court. We went to court. And again, with the failure of system, when you go to court, how long it takes to you for your case to be called. Because the judges are overwhelmed. They need to write with hand. They need to assign cases, all kinds of drama. So we've gone to court, taking the principal people to court to compel action. Yeah. So that's where
Well,
we are.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Eugene Abels. Ideally, this is a 1 hour conversation, and believe me, you have stretched us into 1 hour, 17 minutes. And I think it is uncharitable for me to continue. Um, to my guests who continue to tune in every Friday at 4 p.m., it's been another exciting evening on Conversations with IB. We've dealt with a lot of things: the failure of governance, the responsibility of the governed, and the responsibility of institutions. Um, and what can we all do? Is it enough to just fold our hands? This is why we need social entrepreneurs. Social entrepreneurship ensures that we have people who become change agents to create lasting change. They become change leaders. My dear friends, I'm going to see you again on Friday next week. And it's another mind blowing time. I have two guests that honestly you would love to meet. And this time, it may even look like it's a battle of the sexes, but not quite. Watch out for next week conversations with IB. 4 o'clock, 7 p.m., same place. It's been wonderful, wonderful spending time with you. Jaino, thank you for being with us, and you better get ready to run. I'm bringing your form.
Now, I beg one last thing before we go.
Yes.
For the Muslims and the Christians, the Bible says, I pray for those in authority. It says, but if you read the second verse of that verse, it says, as long as it is well with you. If it is not well with you, you're supposed, instead of
You
starting your
say
prayer
so
with
that it will be well with you, not as
instead of you binding
long as so
Satan,
that.
don't bind Satan. Begin to bind the leaders to do the right, because it is your money God has given to you. Have a wonderful day. And thanks for taking up the initiative to do this thing. And so that these conversations, we don't know who will profit from this conversation. God bless you.
We hope we all do. Thank you.